What's up, everybody, and welcome back to the Weekly Ritual. It's been 315 days since Elijah McCain was murdered last August, and the police who killed him are still free. What's up, everybody? It's Heafy, and welcome back to the Weekly Ritual, Ghost Cult Magazine's weekly news show on YouTube. Let's get started. First up, let's cover some features this week at Ghost Cult. On YouTube, we interviewed Sara G from the hardcore punk band Entry. This Los Angeles band features members of Touche, Amore, and Sheer, and their debut full-length album Detriment comes out on Southern Lord Records July 17th. We had an awesome chat with Sara. Also on YouTube, we interviewed Paul from Black Orchid Empire. Their brand new album Semaphore is out now on Long Branch Records. On the podcast front, we interviewed goth rock singer Iva Toric, Chris from Alestorm, David Ellefson of Megadeth, and of course, Neil Morse. Another feature we ran this week was a rerun of our 2019 feature on Slipknot's debut album. This year, it turned 21 this week. And then finally, we began running a video series with the band Echo to Locate. This very interesting alternative rock band is running a series of videos that will all interconnect over the next month. And Ghost Cult will be premiering a new video each Friday, starting last week with the video for Clear, which you can see at the link below. Another week and another round of sexual allegations against many members of the musical community. Once again, this is unacceptable behavior by any standard, and for whatever reason, this current climate in the world has inspired a lot of victims and survivors to come forward, and we're all about that. So we're going to run down a quick review of those named this week. The band False has decided to break up over the allegations against one of their members, Jimmy Calloway. Victims have come forward on social media and called out Jimmy, and the band has decided rather than get rid of him and continue on with that name, they have completely disbanded, which is a terrible shame. False was one of the best bands in the US black metal scene coming out of Minneapolis. We covered and interviewed the band last year, and we're very high on their record. The band went to great lengths to say in their statement that the label had no idea about this prior to the revelations. The band has not made any further statements about their own knowledge of these incidents or not, so we'll just wait and see on that. But hopefully the other members will regroup and form a new band. But very disappointing news on that front. Last week we brought you the news that Attila frontman Franz had been accused of some sexual misconduct. And now, in the last week, both the bass player and drummer of the band have been fired after allegations against them were lodged. Again, we're following this story. Franz has denied any wrongdoing by himself. And as far as the members who were fired, I believe victims. Emarosa has been dropped from both their label and their management after allegations were lodged against their frontman, Bradley Walden. Again, very disappointing for Emarosa fans. Not sure about the future fate of the band. We'll have to see what happens. Great American Ghost have fired their bassist, Jerry Perron, after allegations were made against him on social media. And finally, Chamber has parted ways with their guitarist Mike Monahan after allegations were lodged against him, which he confessed to and made his own statement that he was leaving the band as well. Again, very disappointing by these bands. Seems to be a lot of bands in the hardcore, metalcore scene, but no one is above suspicion. And you should always believe victims first and foremost. Historically and statistically, survivors of abuse do not come forward. So we're here for you. We're listening. We're waiting. We're watching. Hopefully this shit stops soon. There's no place for it. Cut the shit, yo. And now, on to some good news. Job for a Cowboy is back in the news. As you know, Ghost Cult broke the story last May that Job for a Cowboy had resurfaced. There had been some rumors flying around, and some very well-placed sources close to the band had told Ghost Cult that the band had been working on new material without a timetable for release. The band then shared our story on social media, giving it some validity. It picked up steam with the other music media, so we were really stoked about that. And of course, any new Job for Cowboy would be awesome. The band has been dropping subtle hints on their own social media that they might be starting up something soon. And then, of course, producer Jason Sukoff straight up tweeted and Instagrammed that he was getting ready to go into the studio with the band. So that's as much of a confirmation as anyone needs. The band has yet to actually confirm this, but Sukoff's not a bullshitter. He's a genius producer. So we're super stoked that new JFAC is on the way. And lastly, no word yet if John Rice will be joining them on the drum stool or if the band will have to recruit a new drummer. Holy shit, you guys! Mike Portnoy is reunited with John Petrucci. Portnoy tweeted tonight, right before we recorded this, that he was joining his former bandmate in Dream Theater on his new solo album, Terminal Velocity. Petrucci's album has been long in the works. Portnoy and Petrucci rekindled their friendship over the holidays in 2018. Of course, it'd be super awesome to see those guys back together again. Of course, you know that Jordan Rudess has also hung out with Portnoy. So, obviously, nothing is happening on the Dream Theater front. Portnoy's in 10 million bands. But really cool that those guys are making music together again. Dave LaRue will be also playing bass on that record with Petrucci and Portnoy. You know what that means when you hear those voices? Beavis and Butthead are coming back. That's right. Comedy Central announced a deal with Mike Judge to bring Beavis and Butthead back for 2 new seasons, possibly as soon as later this year or early next year, although an official release has not been announced yet. Beavis and Butthead came back for 2 new seasons back in 2012. Judge, of course, has gone on to do King of the Hill, Silicon Valley, and a bunch of beloved, awesome off-kilter comedy movies like Evolution and Extract and Office Space. Super cool to get Beavis and Butthead back. They're super important metal and rock icons. They helped make many bands in the 1990s and had a huge impact. We'll see if heavy music factors into their show this time around, but super cool to get Beavis and Butthead back. The Ocean. We've discussed The Ocean recently on this show. They had announced a brand new album for the fall, part 2 of their album Phrenezoic, which I can barely pronounce, and I apologize. So Phrenezoic 2, and they released a brand new single, Jurassic Cretaceous. Good luck with those Latin terms for sea life. You know, The Ocean are big fans of the sea. We'll be interviewing Robin from The Ocean very soon for the Ghost Cult Magazine podcast. The Rolling Stones have joined the ranks of Tom Petty and many others, threatening President Donald Trump with a lawsuit over using their music at political rallies. Donald Trump is very fond of using the Rolling Stones classic "You Can't Always Get What You Want" at his rallies, usually at the end. The Rolling Stones have repeatedly told him and sent him cease and desist letters. He is not permitted to use their music, similar to Tom Petty a couple of weeks ago, using his music. So, yeah, not cool, Don. Not cool. The Rolling Stones, big up on you guys. You know, you would think a big corporate rock band would cave in to the pressure from politics or, you know, just bank the money, but really cool of them to take a stand. Enterprise Earth recently dropped a brand new EP as a surprise. Foundation of Bones is a series of covers and 1 new song, and the band just released a playthrough video for their awesome cover of Lamb of God's Now You've Got Something to Die For. Great band. We're going to talk to them soon for the Ghost Cult podcast as well. Trivium's Matt Heafy has announced he has signed a solo deal with his record label Roadrunner, and he put out his very first single, a cover of the song from the Witcher TV series on Netflix, Toss a Coin to Your Witcher. Of course, you know Heafy is a superstar at streaming on Twitch and YouTube, and he often does covers. He's done that cover before. Really excited to see what kind of solo album Matt Heafy will come out with. Of course, Trivium's recent album, What the Dead Men Say, is out now. DevilDriver dropped a brand new single and a really creepy gothic lyric video for the song Iona. Their new album is coming out this fall via Napalm Records, Dealing with My Demons Volume 1. Really cool, expecting 2 albums from DevilDriver. Ghost Cole actually broke that news in an interview last summer with Neil Timon, their guitar player. This Friday is another free BandCamp day. BandCamp is waiving their fees yet again and giving all the proceeds to bands. So if you were thinking of making a purchase or there's any album coming out this Friday that you'd like to make a purchase of, an album, digital download, vinyl, a shirt, some other kind of merch, please consider using BandCamp to spend your money. All the proceeds will go to bands, unlike other methods where they have to split the fees. In case you missed it, Johnny Cash, The Complete Mercury Recordings is out now. The ginormous box set of CDs and vinyl and a beautifully handmade book is out now. It covers the Johnny Cash period from 1986 to 1991 when he was particularly prolific. And I'm super stoked about this. We're huge Johnny Cash fans here. Ghost Cult does in fact cover Americana and folk and blues, along with metal and rock and hardcore and death metal and other things. So check out some Johnny Cash. The surviving members of Soundgarden have created 2 new social media accounts under the name The Nude Dragons. Kim Dale, Ben Shepherd, and Matt Cameron created a new Twitter and Instagram. You will find those handles below in the description. The band is currently embroiled in a lawsuit over the final recordings of Chris Cornell, which were meant to be a new Soundgarden record. Chris's widow has those recordings and is claiming they are the family's to do with what they wish, and they do not belong to Soundgarden. This ugly drama hopefully gets resolved. We want to get that final Soundgarden album like it was meant to come out. We'll keep you posted on this story as we learn more. Recently, we brought you news of our feature review of Between the Buried and Me's re-release of their debut self-titled album from 20 years ago, as the band celebrates their 20th anniversary this year. And now their second album, released in 2003, is getting the deluxe remaster and remix treatment, The Silent Circus, coming from Craft Recordings later this summer. Mongolia's heavy rock band The Who has released a brand new video for their new song, Shrieg Shrieg. I hope I pronounced that correctly. My Mongolian is not very sharp or up to date. Of course, we know The Who has been stranded during the entire coronavirus pandemic. Down in Australia, where they were on tour at the time of the pandemic, they have not been able to get back to Mongolia or America. But the band has been raising money for COVID relief. They've raised $19,000 American, which is super impressive. And they have a deluxe version of their debut album coming out soon on Better Noise Records, as well as news, hopefully, about some new music from the band next year. And now it's time for a look at Who Rules at Streaming, our weekly rundown look at bands doing cool stuff with streaming to keep us all entertained. Code Orange has announced another live streaming concert live from their home base in Pittsburgh. The band previously did a live streaming concert when their new album came out, and now we're going to get a full new concert from the band. Super exciting. That's going to be on July 30th. If you're fans of Machine Head and Robb Flynn, you want to tune in to Machine Head's YouTube channel every Friday afternoon, about 4 o'clock Eastern Time, 1 o'clock Pacific Time, where Robb Flynn does his acoustic weekly jam. This week's covers included a few Machine Head songs, as well as covers of Slipknot, Stained, and a bunch of other bands. Good on you, Rob. Sacred Reich's Phil Rind has joined Sepultura for their weekly Sepulquarta sessions, and the band went through the classic song Inner Self, complete with 2 basses, both Phil and Paulo Sisto Pinto on bass. Super awesome job by Sepultura, absolutely killing it during the quarantine. Their recent album Quadra is out now from Nuclear Blast Records. And finally, Phil Dimmel's weekly collab jam has now brought us a cover of the Dead Kennedys classic Spiderweb? Fuck. Anyway, sorry. This house is freaking me out, man. The Dead Kennedys' awesome Police Truck, an incredible protest song, perfect for these times, featuring Zetro Souza of Exodus and several other thrash legends like Dave Lombardo. Check out Phil's channel for all these awesome covers and a whole lot more. And of course, Phil is currently working with Violence on their first record in a long time, which is going to be badass. And now it's time for a rundown of all the new music out on Friday, July the 3rd. American Arson, A Line in the Sand is coming out on Facedown Records. Black Sabbath's The End is finally coming out on vinyl via Eagle Rock Entertainment. Boris's last-minute surprise album No is dropping. Bury Tomorrow's Cannibal comes out on Music for Nations. Deepa Graves' album Open Roads is releasing. That is the debut solo album of Jeff Wilson of Chrome Waves and formerly of Knockmistium. Big fans here at Jeff's. Super excited about this Deepa Graves album. Grandma Vendetta, their acid compliant EP is coming out. Jesu, super excited about new Justin Broderick Jesu project. His EP has been moved to coincide with the BandCamp Friday release. Leprous' Cole album gets the vinyl treatment from Inside Out Music. Maura Protzka By Chance and their album releasing on Season of Mist. Omar Rodriguez Lopez, The Cloud Tapes Part 2. And now it's time for the mailbag, a look at what we're listening to and reading this week to keep ourselves entertained as we move into the second half of the year, so we don't go crazy and go on a massive killing spree. The vinyl pick of the week, we have Iron Maiden's Live After Death, arguably the greatest heavy metal live album ever. This was recorded on the Power Slave tour in the mid-80s and then put out on double vinyl, similar to your best live albums of the era. arguably the greatest metal live album ever. Let us know in the comments what your favorite metal live album is of all time. Next up, it's Rick Spears and Chuck Beebe's Black Metal Omnibus, a huge collection of all their black and white cartoons of comical black metal characters. This thing is amazing. It's beautifully detailed, hilariously written, and has been a source of inspiration in magazines, zines, and even albums. So definitely check this out. And then finally, John Wagner and Vince Locke's A History of Violence graphic novel. This is a bit of an oldie but a goodie. You may know the History of Violence movie. Of course, you know Vince Locke's name. Why does this relate to metal? Vince, of course, is the incredible visionary artist behind many of the Cannibal Corpse album covers, and almost all of them, as well as many other art pieces, shirts, and album covers and art for metal bands. So Vince is awesome. He actually also has a new comic book out right now called The Dollhouse Family, out on DC Comics right now. Thanks for tuning into the Weekly Ritual. If you enjoy this program, please like and subscribe at the bell below and get notified whenever we post new content, which is usually 2 to 3 times a week on this channel. It's an incredibly tough year, 2020, so we want you to keep looking out for each other, take care of yourselves, take care of each other, and remember, eat snacky smalls.